What do you love about being outside and active?
I'm sure I've spent more time outdoors than in. That just feels like home.
Enjoy what you can do, because you never know what is around the corner.
Just being outdoors in the fresh air, it just clears my mind.
Fully immersed in nature is what brings me the most joy.
Hello and welcome back to the Outside and Active podcast, where this week my special guest is Warren Smith. Warren is one of Britain's leading professional free skiers and an internationally qualified performance coach and instructor. He has been a sponsored Volcal free ski athlete for over 10 years and has represented brands such as Scott Sport, Swiss Airlines and Dallaglio. He has spent many years teaching recreational skiers, developing ski instructors and coaching athletes all over Europe. He is one of the most innovative instructors working in the Alps today and has earned a name for himself for the constant research and development he carries out combining ski technique, ski biomechanics and ski physiology. And in this week's episode, I'm going to be chatting to Warren about his experience in the snow industry. But alongside that, we're going to be taking some time to chat about the National Snow Week, which is kicking off this weekend at the NEC in Birmingham for the National Snow Show and carries on to the London Snow Show at the XL in London next weekend. Now, at Outside and Active, we are happy to be able to offer free tickets to one or both of the shows when you use the code OUTSIDE at checkout. You can make the most of that and find out more information about the entire week by heading to nationalsnowweek.com. Without further ado, let's head straight into this conversation with Warren Smith. Warren, this week's advice comes from Jack from the Ramblers, and his role is head of paths, which I think is a great name, but his advice for you is if there is a path or walk near where you live that you've never visited, make a pledge to go and explore. Now, he's talking literally about paths here, but I think this advice actually crosses over to skiing and snowboarding quite well. If there's some, a route or run that you've never been down before, go and explore it. What do you think?
I think that's an awesome challenge for everybody to be thinking about. I think we all strive to do that in that world of free ride skiing that certainly I'm from, and I know many people coming to the National Snow Sports Week events are going to be from. One area of caution or advice, I guess, would be check it out thoroughly, especially if it's in the mountains. If you don't know where you're going to or what's beyond it, you don't know what the weather conditions could have been like the last 2 or 3 days, temperature shifts, all that stuff, ask a local, take a guide, take an instructor, or just make sure your buddies that are with you are well experienced and you're well equipped for it. But my God, best experience on the planet, right? Experiencing new avenues, new pathways, and finding that extra stash of powder snow. I mean, that's how I'm envisioning it anyway. So
good response to that advice. And I offer guest advice every episode. And something that I also ask to every guest is, what do you love about being outside and active?
For me, God, I think it's, the older I've got, the more it's become like the mental kind of stimulus, to try and sort of get the headspace to relax or to get that freedom that sort of puts me in the right state of mind. I think the adrenaline buzz has always been that thing for me on the outside and the outdoors and our search or quest for, finding great free ride terrain or interpreting our own sort of portrait of the mountain, you could say, where you make your descent. But the older I've got and the more we work a lot more with other people, trying to help them sometimes with their pathways and careers and whatever they want to do. The outdoor space is just, it's an incredible thing, to empty the brain out and have a great reset sometimes. So I think physically it's obviously there. It stimulates you. It keeps you in shape. Mentally, that espace, that huge distance is something that can really soothe the mind.
Now, if there's someone listening to this that's maybe not part of the snow sports industry and hasn't been skiing or snowboarding before, explain from your point of view what is so special about the snow sports community.
Well, snow sports community is it's something built on passion, and it's something built on that vibe, that energy that I think the mountains bring to us. So weirdly enough, it actually translates back to the UK. I was at a snow camp event on Friday at the snow centre at Hemel, and there were young apprentices there in snow camp that were explaining their first experience at Hemel. And if you listen to the passion that these kids spoke with about the buzz of putting skis on and making their first descent from the top of the snow centre, I mean, it literally almost brought tears to our eyes, and it reminded us of like, why, oh my God, that, you know, the buzz this person's got. Very much the same in the mountains. If you walk into a ski resort and you feel that atmosphere, even if you're walking in a down day, you know, something's not right in your mind or your life or whatever, you walk into this atmosphere and see the energy that kind of gets dispersed outwards of people that have just had a run of their life or enjoyed something. It's pretty special, and I think that's the thing that drives us all to it. But there's a certain thing about the community aspect that it's really an area where people seem to want to share. You know, it's not like, that's my run, I'm not telling anyone else. You know, this is my run, guys. It's awesome. Come and join me. You know, let's have a hike together. It really does feel like a team sport, even if you're doing it in a very small side of it. So, I think there's a lot to be said about snow sports that brings people into a community, and that community, you know, once you're in it, you're in a very positive place.
We're going to talk about your experiences and talk about the National Snow Week, which you've already dropped in there. But I just want to kick off by asking you where the door to the snow sports industry actually opened for you in your life.
Well, yeah, when I was from Hemel Hempstead, actually, literally a stone throw from where the snow centre is, and I was. We used to have a skateboard park there, and on that skateboard park, I was a BMXer. I used to love BMXing, and they demolished the park, built a dry ski slope, which I think a lot of us were quite angry about, you know, as kids from our little sort of council estate that was just around the corner. And in the end, from one way or another, I ended up setting ski bindings at that place, that venue of the Hemel Snow Centre, you know, ski centre. That's what got me into it. You know, couldn't really afford to go skiing there, but that was my way in. So setting ski bindings led to other things, you know, skiing more, getting the crossover of being on a bike as to skiing, really similar to skateboard and snowboard. And I just sort of stuck at it, and I kind of became obsessed, I think, with it. You know, I learned so much dry slope. That's why we always encourage people, no matter whether it's you know, Snowflex, Dendex, whatever you can slide on, take advantage of it. Even if it's on the indoor roller carpets, anything you can get going, anything you can get started to participate and include yourself inside the snow sports is a great thing. So from there, I just trained and trained, kept pushing it, went to Austria off the back of a connection at the dry ski slope. So that's the other thing we always talk about the snow camp community. You know, we talk about the idea that so much of it is about connectivity, of just talking to the right people at the right time. And then I found my way to Austria, went there with a really close friend of mine, Pete Gillespie, who now runs a snow centre and his own business. But we found our pathway through Austria, getting qualified for Austrian ski school, flipped over to Verbier. Verbier became, you know, that was the new home for me in 94, 95. It's a free ride mecca. And then I followed my kind of like ambition to be a free ride skier, got on the Vocal free ride team, you know, just by meeting people in Verbier, set the academy up in Verbier. And then with a load of luck on top of it, we've sort of ended up in quite a good place, really.
Again, just for people that might not know, explain a little bit more about free ride skiing.
Free ride skiing is kind of like skiing not on the piste. It's kind of like choosing any other terrain, which could be an itinerary run. It could be off the side of a piste, hiking up a face that you desire, you want to ski down, looking at your couloir, looking at your open area, challenging yourself, putting the skins on your skis, walking up to a private spot, going to find something in solitude with no one around. And some of the ultimate things is when you find that beautiful untouched powder snow that I guess is the closest thing to what surfing, you know, feels like or whatever, when you're sort of gliding in something and you can't feel the base. And that's, I think that's what we all strive for. You know, that's certainly from a free ride point of view, it's our mecca.
You've explained how you got into the industry. How easy, or what's it like for young people now in the UK, you know, learning the ropes, getting into skiing and the snow sports industry?
Well, it's possible. I mean, the thing about the UK, very different to many other countries actually, is there was this huge wave in like the 60s, 70s, 80s where so many dry ski slopes were built, and it became like a solid foundation that's even built, you know, fantastic now World Cup racers, look at Dave Riding from Pendle Hill and all these other sort of areas that have now proved that your basis, your skill set, you can actually learn it on our dry ski slopes, on our artificial slopes. And obviously now we have indoor snow domes. But the UK has definitely got an obsession with skiing, snowboarding. There's not a doubt about that. You can access it locally. If you've only got to go and Google skiing, snowboarding in your local Google Maps, you'll find where your local venue is. And actually, there are the systems in the UK for ski coaching, snowboard coaching are fantastic. I think the education side of how UK snow sports looks at tutoring is brilliant. So everyone's got a chance to get involved.
And talking about community and getting involved in the industry, we've got coming up the National Snow Week, again, which you touched on earlier. So we'll be kicking off this weekend with the National Snow Show at the NEC in Birmingham on the 14th and 15th. And then next week, the London Snow Show at the XL on the 21st and 22nd of October. Tell me a bit about what your involvement is with the show and what you're going to be doing over the 2 weekends.
Yeah, well, we started on the show, the Birmingham NEC show. I guess it's 2 years ago now. It's crazy. Time has flown by, and obviously, worked with Stephen before and all that crew, and it's a very sort of homely crew to work with. So what we did, because of that vibe of the show, we brought our Ski Technique Lab. Ski Technique Lab is something that we're on tour at the moment around the UK. We've just finished Scotland. We're now in the north of England, and then we work our way down. We coincide with both of the shows, and where people buy a ticket to come to one of our talks, we've actually offered the ticket as part of the show ticket. So when someone gets a ticket to the Birmingham show or the London show, they'll be assessed on the Ski Technique Lab, Ski Biomechanics. So basically, we run an assessment system here. You may be able to see it by the 6 icons. And those 6 icons map out the movement patterns that you need to be able to perform, to be able to do the sport of skiing, technically correct. However, when you learn about this quite quickly is that the biomechanics assessments that we do show the differences between the left and right side of the body. And anyone listening to this broadcast, and if you had to ask them, like, do you have a weaker turn direction? They'll all turn around and say, oh God, yeah, I know I have a weaker turn. That goes right up to pro level. Everyone has a weaker turn. What this does, and what the shows are going to give the general skiing public the opportunity to do, is to come in, get assessed, walk away with an assessment, a PDF that's worth, and the assessment's £20. The PDF's actually £30. So ultimately, you're going to get a PDF and an assessment certificate for $50, and it'll be part of your show ticket. Now, if you really want to understand about it, you can go in and have a look at it, and there's a QR code which you can see on here. So if anyone's watching and sees that QR code, they can scan it. It'll give you a lot of information to find out more about ski biomechanics. But ski biomechanics, it doesn't matter how expensive your ski lesson is, or if you've got the best instructor in the world, if you've got a biomechanical restriction on one side of your body, there is a limit to what your instructor can do. And what we want to try and do is get to it before you go out to the Alps, before you go to your ski instructor, and try and even up the body's movement patterns, movement ranges, so that you can make the most out of your skiing, reduce the risk of injury, which is a huge thing, and increase performance.
You'll be talking to a load of people over the weekend, but interested to know who you're going to be able to help. Are you going to be talking to people that have been skiing for years and years and years, consider themselves, experts, but want to learn more, but also speaking to people who are brand new and want to kind of have that next step up?
Absolutely. So this is a really important point, actually, you've made. So Ski Technique Lab actually is really beneficial to the 95% of people that don't take ski lessons. So if you don't take a ski lesson, this is literally the DIY, fix your own ski technique, figure out your weaker turn. We'll give you the exercises and things to unlock your side. Just to give a quick example, when we ask someone to rotate their legs inwardly to sort of see how they finish off their turns, there is usually a 30-degree difference between left and right. That's just a straight off the bat. There's other flex tests. Colin Martin, expert boot fitters, come into the show. we've got tests that really help. We work very closely with Colin and all the UK's top boot fitters to talk about flex tests. We also talk about symmetry test in the legs, and other aspects of angulation. So these tests will be a benefit, but the 95% of people that don't take lessons will gain a huge amount. The 5% of people that spend money on lessons will get a greater value for money because their instructor won't be screaming for the whole week, finish off your turns. It'll be something that you can actually get to. It'll something that will actually make the body much more easier to adapt to ski coaching. The other thing it's really useful for are complete beginners. Now, if anyone's listening to this that has watched a friend ski, had the experience as a beginner, and you're in your snowplow, you spend a load of your week like hooked onto one turn direction that's your favorite turn, and you almost can't go the other way. So this helps that person unlock the steering range. And then the other side of it that's very beneficial, if anyone's either lacking confidence in skiing, it's usually always down to one turn direction. This unlocks that, and it'll actually help someone identify it. And then the other thing is, the last point is, if you're coming back to the sport from an injury, either an injury, a proper injury, this is a brilliant way to reduce the risk. Or if it's a micro injury, again, we'll teach you ways to help build up that strength.
One thing that's incredibly striking that people that have been to the show will know, when I've been walking around the last couple of years, is that there is a real mixture of snow enthusiasts that want to go and visit their heroes, that want to go and speak to all the brands that they see all the time, that are all in one place. But you also have families there as well that go on their skiing holidays once or twice a year. And it's real, all ends of the spectrum, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing we've loved about seeing the energy of these shows over the last 2 years. It's like there is a real atmosphere of the buzz, and I think that the shows are well organized, which is great. The guys have got the experience, and the foot flow of traffic is busy, so that actually adds to the atmosphere. But then the other side of things is people are bouncing back off those years where we've obviously been restricted from travel, restricted from getting out there, and people are absolutely desperate to get their teeth back into that sport, whether it's ski or snowboard, telemark, whatever it is they do to slide around the mountain. So it's right now, it's the buzz. NEC's really taken off well. We've had 2 excellent years at NEC. And now looking at London coming back, I think everyone's so excited about seeing that show kick off at Excel.
Absolutely. And just picking up on, like you said, a tough few years for the snow sports industry, lack of travel, and just an economic front as well. How is it bouncing back? Like you said there's a real excitement, and it is fantastic that we're kind of moving back to 100% operation. But how is it feeling in the couple of years since?
Well, it was a tough year. We were very lucky, actually. Verbier, where we're based, is we never actually got shut down. As long as you were within Switzerland, you could ski. You had to be careful. We all, restaurants were all closed on the mountain, but we could ski because it was an outdoor activity. It was tough. There's things where it's taken a couple of years of credits to sort of, we think we're busy some weeks, and then you look at a group and think, actually, you're paying out, you're paying your costs, but maybe only 2 people on that course are paying for it. The other 4 are using credits that were, we dished out. I think we're getting back on our feet. The thing that's very interesting is our winter's almost sold out already in advance of the winter starting. So people generally would book in advance with us anyway, but the actual the winter program is super busy. So that's a great thing. And looking at people coming back to the resorts, we've definitely seen it. It was, it didn't really dip off last year in January, which it normally does. It just went straight through, super busy.
What's particularly striking as well is that at the show, we organise a few different shows, but especially in the snow industry, there is no show where the speakers, the visitors, and the brands are all so tightly connected and want to be there and have a good time and just intermingle and chat and learn and share experiences. I mean, you've got a couple of brands, if you're watching this conversation, a couple of brands on show there. I mean, just explain a bit more from your experience of how well connected everyone is.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, half the battle is sort of getting to the show on the Friday to set up, and then bumping into all your mates, and it's just like, my God, it's like it's 1 o'clock. We haven't even done an ounce of work yet. We better get going, and then the inevitable I guess après ski style, have a few beers, and it really is. It is like a family. I think everyone generally misses each other, and even though we all go back to our own sort of places, there is that buzz. It's that classic UK industry buzz. A lot of friendships have been made over the last couple of decades, and people, they get a kick out of it, and we all look forward to that.
And that's what's so fantastic about having everyone in one room over the 2 weekends. Can you tell me a bit about the Ski Academy and when it was set up and sort of your mindset and what the aim and values were when it came about?
Well, we set the Ski Academy up. It was in 1998-99 season. We basically kind of saw a bit of a gap in the market where the methodology of ski instructions, like giving someone an instruction, never really sort of sat comfortably. And the idea for, rather than just bouncing off private lessons here and there or seeing someone once, our philosophy was to see someone for a much longer journey, to coach them through something where, you know what, we'll build this part now. We're not going to rush you to get a quick fix. We want to try and build the foundation really strong so that whether you come back to us or whether you go somewhere else, you've got all of your foundation built properly, just like you would with a house. So many skiers have flex issues where they're skiing backseat. So many skiers ski in an A-frame with the knees dropping in. A lot of skiers rotate their upper body rather than steer their legs. And we spend a lot of time, getting the foundations right. And once we got it and we explained it properly over these video analysis sessions, we found that people were coming back time and time again because they like the content. And in the end, it's sort of the academy has taken off. It's an organically grown business. It's not something where we do tons and tons of forced advertising. In fact, most of the time, people generally write about what we do. I think our goal, has always been to try and give people a pathway to skiing off-piste and in free ride terrain. Not the be all and end all. Some people come to us to do a ski instructor training program. Some people come to us, for technical work or, as we were saying earlier, returning from injury. But a lot of the goal is to be able to get our clients to make a really strong foundation, carve very nicely on piste, use the equipment correctly, get a greater understanding of the sport. So we kind of hope that our clients, when they finish with us, kind of know quite a lot of what we do about the sport as well, so they could pass it on to their mates, which is a bit of the reason we set up the Ski Technique Lab alongside, as part of the academy. And then the ultimate goal, obviously, for us is to see our clients flourish, be able to go into itineraries confidently, venture off piste, get their skins on, go and ski, into all sorts of terrains. So that's what the academy has become. We've made various things like DVDs over the years, which have helped us. Content. We were the coaches for a TV show called The Jump on Channel 4, and we met a lot of people through that. And then off the back of a few other things, that the Verbier brand has grown. But I think the biggest thing that really solidifies the academy is actually the academy itself, the team, the coaches, the kind of family that it is. We have a really great bond between us. We've all got each other's back, which is a really strong thing. And I think the energy of a team working with each other kind of puts that message across to the groups that we teach. So in a group, it's not someone trying to outdo another person. What you find is that they'll feed off the energy of the coaches and the bit of the banter going on and the energy and the enthusiasm. And it kind of like it goes out to the groups we're skiing with, which is really, it's really fantastic. So that's part of what it is. If anyone ever asks what the Ski Technique Lab was, it's basically a lot of journalists over the years are saying, why the academy? Why do people keep coming back to the academy? And so we set up the Ski Technique Lab. One of the reasons was to try and bring out into the open what some of the key content points were, even if people didn't get a chance to come on a course. But that's kind of the academy. That's the history of it. And I guess it's 25 years now, sort of almost a quarter of a century. So yeah, long time.
Amazing. And if I'm sitting at home and I'm listening to this or watching this and I'm thinking, okay, well, I should be going to the National Snow Week, but I've never been skiing before. I've maybe seen my friends go, but I've never been like, oh no, I'm not interested. But now I'm feeling a little bit more inspired. What sort of step one or the 101 of getting into skiing that I should be following?
Okay, so I reckon, the idea of you running all over the shop trying to find out more about skiing when actually there's an event where the whole nucleus of the industry is in one place, it's your one-stop shop to get every bit of information you can. There's going to be, advice given. If you go onto our stand and talk about ski instruction, how do I learn? We might not be the guys that give you your first week of skiing, but we will be able to give you the correct advice of what's a great place to go to learn to ski for the first time, who to go with. There are other people at the show talking about that as well. There are fantastic equipment experts at the show who will give you the best advice. So, it's kind of bringing together the best of the best in all elements of the sport. The other thing is the tour operators are there, but they're not there to try and hard sell something. They're purely there to try and give out the best advice. And from what I've seen, from what I've listened to when I've been walking around the show, that works really well. The Ski Club of Great Britain are there, and the Ski Club, mixed in with the history of the Ski Club, is 120 years old. They make a fantastic magazine, but they offer fantastic advice, impartial to people that want to know a bit more about the sport and to learn there. You've got people up on stage which are inspirational talkers. I think if you're going to try and get your teeth into the sport, you'll find out where to go, what to do, what are the venues near you, and how you'd make your step on the ladder in snow sports for sure.
I think as well, there's two different types of speakers. You'll have people that almost for inspiration go and hear their stories, notable people within the industries, but you've also got a skills section as well, where if you want to go and learn a bit more, maybe really look into the skills of your own skiing experience, and there's that twofold as well. So there's stages available for you to go and listen, and there's a full schedule. But I think just kind of circling back to the ski academy, there's 5 P's that are on your website, which I think summarize nicely what you've been talking about: performance, passion, professionalism, partnership, and play. And I think that last one is really important. I'd just like to ask you about play. Why is that so important in what you do?
Oh, play is everything. I think if you haven't got play, what's the point of doing all the other 4 before it? I mean, thank God there's a bar in the middle of the show that we can all go to and have a bit of a laugh. And,
Exactly.
Play is obviously, play for us is when the team gets up in the morning, goes up at 9 o'clock and has a ski before starting work. That's the play side of things. Play is going out for a team dinner for us. Play is meeting all our mates at the show, having an après ski beer, because you got to remember that a big part of being in the mountains, a big part of this thing is the get together. Can't forget the party aspect of it, and I know that what goes on at the show is a very good atmosphere that the guys set out. So if you've never been to a show before, if you've never got involved with snow sports before, you'll kind of feel the bug and that kind of energy that goes on in the mountains. You'll feel it at the shows for sure.
And we're so excited for the Birmingham Snow Show, but also the launch again of the London Snow Show that's taking place. And you can check more out at nationalsnowweek.com. And we're so excited for you and everyone else that's going to be there, brands and speakers and visitors to be there. But just finally, where can people go to find out a bit more about you and what you do ahead of the show?
Well, I mean, basically, if anyone's in the north of England, come along to any of our events. If you go to the Academy website, you'll see what we do. If you just Google, these days we just tell people to go to Google, Warren Smith Ski Academy, log on. You'll see the website. Ski Technique Lab. If you Google Ski Technique Lab Eventbrite, you'll come up with the Eventbrite page, and that'll show you where we're going around the UK. But just check us out online. See what we get up to. We're doing some work with Protect Our Winters, which is a really important charity we work for. We're trying to create awareness this coming show to people, especially from our point of view in the mountains, like the realistic side of things, that there are huge temperature shifts. We want to try and create awareness that people have got to be a little bit more cautious, get a bit further education to be safer out there with the new changes in the snowpack. And obviously we're there also as a patron for snow camps. Snow camps are an awesome charity, so it'd be great to come and listen to what those guys get up to. It's very inspirational.
Warren, thank you so much for your time. I kicked off this podcast by offering you a piece of advice from Jack. Now's your opportunity to leave a piece of advice for a guest coming onto the podcast in the near future.
Wow, a bit of advice. God, if you're ever considering skiing something you've never skied before, I think similar to the paths, take your research on it. You know, the pathway as to like a new thing to excite yourself is brilliant. I think in our environment, if anyone's ever going to go down that road of looking at free ride skiing and going to go and do a proper assessment, take your time, map it out, look at the terrain, look at all the weather patterns that have come before it, and most importantly, go with a buddy, a guide, or an instructor that can show you the ropes and keep you safe.
Warren, thank you so much for your advice. I look forward to passing that along. We look forward to seeing you at the Snow Week.
Looking forward to it myself. All the best.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Outside and Active podcast, a special National Snow Week episode featuring Warren Smith. Like I said at the beginning, you can get free tickets to one or both of the National Snow Show or London Snow Show events by using code OUTSIDE at checkout when you head to nationalsnowweek.com. We can't wait to see you there. I will be recording episodes of the podcast with the incredible speakers at the show, so stay tuned for more incredible guests coming up on the podcast in the near future. But until that time, I've been Dominic Brown. Enjoy the outdoors.